Hey everyone, and welcome to part 2 of our Kingdom Hearts 3 review discussion. I'm your host, Derek Bittner, and I'm joined today by Grant Smith of TeamFourStar to continue our thoughts on the game's release. So let's just get right back to it. But I will say, one of the things I've seen leveraged against the game as well is that people don't quite enjoy, and I can't really blame them. There doesn't seem to be a lot of post-game content.
Yeah, this game definitely feels like they kind of pack all of the story stuff in kind of up front, and then once you beat the game, there are little tidbits here and there and some things to clean up that you could have done before beating the game. But as far as things that unlock after you finish, there's the battle gates, but I think only one, maybe two of them have even unique enemies, and I think only one of them is a unique boss.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
as
you
far
get
as I can tell.
Unique nobodies. Yeah,
there's like a handful of unique nobodies in one of them, and then the one big boss enemy guy, who I don't think you see anywhere else in the game.
No, yeah, he's the super boss in this. I do say that in quotes because I beat him on my first try. I had to use one of those Koopa coins, but
yeah, he does not seem. Gone are the days of Sephiroth from Kingdom Hearts 1, where to this day I have never beaten that boss.
Really?
Because he made me so mad. I know there are ways to cheese him and to do it pretty consistently, but as a whatever I was, 13, 14-year-old kid playing it and just getting mad, I know I eventually went, whatever, this isn't worth it. You're not going to get anything cool for beating him anyway.
Yeah, I couldn't beat Kurt Zisa, couldn't beat Phantom or anything like that, but I was able to beat Ice Titan and Sephiroth. I was determined to beat Sephiroth as a kid.
I can do these.
He taught me how to block. But yeah, it is a little disappointing not to have a lot of post-game content. Finding the secret reports, getting more of that story content that you weren't seeing before, and getting like motivations and stuff, that's cool. But as far as that enemy, not that hard, and I went back to him after getting the ultimate Keyblade. Boy, is he a joke with that
Makes
thing.
Him easy, yeah.
That is a little unfortunate. I know a lot of people, speaking of Sephiroth, no Final Fantasy representation outside of the Moogle shop and the Cactar cameo in Toy Box.
Yeah, and I found that really weird, but at the same time, and this is me getting a little meta with it, I'm wondering if Nomura has a less than great relationship with Final Fantasy at this point after all the stuff with Versus 13 and 15 and the 7 remake. It's one of those things where I wonder if he's like, no, if we're gonna have original like Square stuff in here, it's gonna be Kingdom Hearts stuff, and anything Final Fantasy is gonna be just brushing up against the sides. That, or if you want to even expand even further, my theory of the next games being a lot of Square worlds, he's just saving it for that.
That could be too, and that'd be really cool, because I am legitimately shocked that Sephiroth isn't in here, because after what happened in Kingdom Hearts 2, I was expecting the conclusion to that whole thing between Sephiroth, Cloud, and Tifa.
Oh yeah, I guess I didn't think about that. They did sort of set something up with them and then just kind of left it. So yeah, that is sort of weird, but maybe at the same time they're also doing that to just be... Of course, Kingdom Hearts 2, that's like, what, a 14, 15-year-old game now, so whatever they were hyping up then, but like, was that just, hey, you should really go check out Advent Children? And like, is that what that was about? And all of us misread it as, I can't wait for them to come back to this in Kingdom Hearts 3.
I hope not, because there's all those theories, like the reason that only Sora, Donald, and Goofy see Tifa is because she's not really real, she's the representation of Cloud's light, and all that crazy stuff.
Oh, I haven't seen this side of the fan theories. Oh man.
Yeah. And Sephiroth is Cloud's darkness. That's why he's constantly battling, and it's the two of them, and Tifa's constantly chasing him down and stuff like that.
I mean, hey, nothing says Nomura can't do that later.
Nope, not at all, because this game makes pretty evident this is not the end of Kingdom Hearts, which we already knew that before going in, but it is nice to see basically seeing all this stuff coming after this, like, we are full on shonen manga at this point, because this is the end of the Xehanort arc. Time to get into the Master of Masters arc.
Yeah, and it's one of those things where, and I can understand, because I feel like a lot of people, from what I've gauged on the internet, not being able to talk about it super openly yet with how early it still is, but I do feel like there's been kind of some less than favorable opinion on how the ending of this game plays out. But I feel like, man, it expands the possible world of Kingdom Hearts so much that it gets me excited to think about. And that's something that hasn't been true for Kingdom Hearts stuff for me in a while. Because to kind of lay it out, I feel like the jump from Kingdom Hearts 1 to 2, like thematically and like lore and story wise, was such a huge jump. Like it was so big and such a different scope of a game. And I was really worried going into 3 that it was just going to be a big fan servicey thank you letter to fans of basically 2. And I was really worried that it wasn't going to introduce new things or make the world, the greater Kingdom Hearts world, seem all that much bigger. But the last, like, I would say 15 minutes or so just destroyed any of those fears I had and made me suddenly go, all right, that's cool. Like, all the characters and resolutions and stuff I was looking forward to from 2, we kind of got all that. Now all I care about is this stuff they introduced in the phone game?
Yeah, exactly.
And all I want to do is figure out what it's about.
Yeah. So before we get into the epilogue and secret ending stuff, let's talk about the story of Kingdom Hearts 3, because
yes, definitely.
I do feel like it was satisfying throughout. I like how each world had its own organization member. You were slowly finding out who was all part of this. I like how you got sort of a double deal with Ansem and Xemnas in Twilight Town.
Ansem and Xemnas just being dark buddy cops rolling around the universe was great. It was just real nice to see them hanging out. Me and my best friend, me.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, it was really cool to see. And I mean, it's mainly because of Birth by Sleep, but I love Xigbar. He is...
Oh, yeah. No, he's so good.
Mm-hmm. And, like, having him be the first one to show up in Hercules. And first time I played it, it freaked me out, like, when he was saying something and he got... Wait, I think it was...
Gets cut off midway through the cutscene?
Yeah. And I'm like, oh god, did something happen? But it's like, wait, no, the subtitle had it cut off too, so... Part of the game, but what the heck's going on there?
For my brain went into a quick, like, super theory, and I was like, is that like a fourth wall breaking thing? Was Xigbar talking to me, the player? Is there more going on? Like, just I got so... My brain worked into overtime the second that scene happened, because I try to read between every line in these games now.
Yeah, it was something else, and I was like, all right, cool, who are we going to meet next? And, you know, you kind of had that fun interaction between Sora and Marluxia, because he's like, you know, has this grudge against them. It's like, me. I have no idea who you are.
Well, that's infuriating, because I hate you.
Oh, God. And as you said, the interaction with Woody and young Xehanort.
Yeah, like, young Xehanort possessing... Buzz, because he's very paranoid and doesn't trust people, and he's closing off his heart. So he's like, all right, well, that's a void for darkness to fill. Bop, I'm going to be right here. And then Woody's just like, you are so mean. Has anyone ever loved you? Like, ever? And it's just like, damn, Woody,
yeah,
calm down for a second.
That is...
Getting a little personal here.
It did strike me as a little odd that Buzz was the suspicious one, because, you know, first movie it was all about Woody being suspicious about Buzz. So maybe because he already went through it, he's like, okay, yeah, we're cool with this new toy. I don't have anything to worry about.
It just goes to show that whoever's Andy's favorite toy is always gets a little paranoid that top seat might get taken.
Exactly. There's a hierarchy here we got to be worried about.
Woody learned his lesson about being too arrogant on the throne, and now Buzz has to.
And I do like the explanation for why the other toys, like, they animate, but only because of being possessed by the darkness. It's because the Toy Story world got split into a dark world, like, then they got carried along with it. Sure.
Because why not?
You don't have to feel bad about killing toys.
We're not actually traveling to Andy's room. We're traveling into this data recreation of his room, but don't think about that too hard.
Exactly. I love how there's still these moments of like, what? And you know what? I'm fine with it, because the sound effects they got for Woody and Buzz sound great. I was actually legitimately surprised we got the Ham and Rex voice actors back.
Yeah. Also, speaking of Rex, it is so fun to hear him basically just be a big fan of JRPGs and see Sora.
Damn that Bahamut!
Just on site with Sora's like, I recognize you. You're from a game. you're definitely a JRPG protagonist. I think you're Sora. You look a little different. This might be an alt costume.
Exactly. Like I think I saw that DLC somewhere. Like you got they got merchandise out for you, of course. Oh man, that opening to Toy Story. I'm like seeing what they're like. How long did it take you to realize what they were doing?
Oh man, my brother messaged me partway like while he was playing it, and he's just like, "Man, I'm kind of over Kingdom Hearts. I want to play this Verum Rex game. That looks sweet." To which I told him, "I'm pretty sure it's just Final Fantasy 15."
Yeah, that was pretty like wow. I think that's a nice little again humor at themselves, and then more commenting about Final Fantasy 15 and just the insanity of that. I mean, it did look gorgeous, of course it
absolutely
did, but. It's like, just to have that transition into, of course, this is the game Rex is playing. It's like the opening of Toy Story 2. And then you play the actual game and it's just mechs.
And it's apparently still, even in the Toy Story universe, developed by Square Enix. Yeah. So, hey.
Oh, God. And some of the video games they were coming up with.
Wall Street Ninja 2.
Oh, God.
Space Cats.
And 1. Both were there. I'm like, oh, man.
Oh, were they both there?
Oh, yeah. We got to get that Wall Street Ninja series going. I'm excited for 3. Oh man, you can definitely tell, like, even though they only had 2 places in the Toy Box world that were actually based on the movie, I felt like that toy store could totally be part of it. Like, okay, yeah, I was Toy Barn, and there you go.
Yeah, and even then, I only noticed this last night when I was looking for some lucky emblems. But in the parking lot for the Toy Star, the Pizza Planet truck is out there, like just parked in the parking lot, and I was like, that's a really nice touch. Like, I'm glad that's here.
I think another one of the lucky emblems is on a car in front of Andy's house, and the license plate says A112, which is another little Pixar thing that's always there. Oh wow,
yeah,
yeah.
I hadn't even noticed that.
Yeah, they have a bunch of stuff like that. Like they made sure to put in the Pixar Easter eggs that you're used to.
Little calling cards. Mm-hmm. That's good.
That was a lot of fun. And again, the interaction with Vanitas in Monstropolis.
In Monstropolis was so good. Picking him up, throwing him through the door. Let's throw that door and another door. Like I know that's a bit reused. I'm pretty sure from the movie, but still, so good. And I just love seeing Vanitas, who is like, if Kingdom Hearts already, like, if its bad guys already appealed to that dark edgelord in your soul, Vanitas is like top of the heap as far as like, I'm so edgy, and just have this big blue furball pick him up like he's nothing, and you just see his legs dangling like, put me down, hey, stop it, I'm pontificating on darkness over here, and just like throws him.
Tossed them through, and they just kept going, and I'm like, oh my god, this is brilliant. I was almost half expecting him to teleport back. I was like, I didn't like that. Or something like that.
It's like, hey guys, corridors of darkness, I can go wherever I want. This isn't gonna work. But letting it work was also great, because it feels like part of the world, and it makes me feel like these Disney worlds are their own entities, and when the Kingdom Hearts characters invade them, sometimes they're just like, no, get out. We still work by cartoon logic here. Go away. And that's how those worlds should be.
Exactly. It really is. And I missed Larxine's cattiness.
Yeah, no, she's real good. And the cutaways of the organization talking to each other work so much better in this game than I feel like they did in previous ones, because everyone, again, gets to emote so much more and have way more personality because their models can do a lot more. And I feel like I think localization and stuff has come a long way since the early Kingdom Hearts games. So we get stuff like Demyx calling Marluxia Marley Warley in a scene for some reason. Like, just stuff like that gets to happen that I feel like we never really got in previous games. And that really helps just set this one apart. Mm-hmm. But we were talking about the flow of the game, and one thing that I did kind of take issue with is, as fun as it was, them kind of throwing out the villains and stuff, they sort of backpack everything as far as the villains being meaningfully interacted with and like getting any sort of progress on the greater narrative. Mm-hmm. I feel like they could have put some of those smaller individual resolutions within the Disney worlds just to kind of get that, like, set that stuff up and like get that stuff ready to go for the final confrontation, rather than giving us just a marathon of, hey, here's everyone dealing with their baggage all at once. Yeah, we could have at least gotten that done a little bit more gracefully, I think. Like, it is a really cool fan servicey like 4 or 5 hours But it's kind of weird to me that they kind of hold all that stuff back until the end when they could have meted it out a little bit over the worlds.
Yeah, I can definitely see that point, but I did like, one of my things I always felt like there was a problem with the pacing for quite a few Kingdom Hearts games is that you get front-loaded with interesting story in the beginning, and you get a ton of interesting story at the end, and then the middle is just, let's go to these Disney worlds for this reason, and there's not really a lot of main story progress as you're going through, and that's not the case in 3. You're always getting a little something forward, whether it's because of Riku and Mickey trying to track down Aqua, or Axel and Kairi doing their training and getting little interactions with them, or as you said, seeing what the organization is up to. And there's one line in there with the organization, I feel like this is a good spot to talk about that, where you have this interaction between Sai and Marluxia. Oh god, I'm blanking on the names. Luxord, Demyx, and Larxene, where they were talking about, why are you, we all came from...
Everyone else worked with Ansem the Wise. Do you know why I picked you?
Yeah, and they don't answer that. And I'm like,
he kind of hints at it, where he's like, your lineage, your Keyblade lineage, or something, or something with the Keyblade War.
Which my thought was like, I immediately started unscrambling their names, because it's like, holy crap, are they the foretellers? Because we never saw their faces, and I was doing that. I was like,
true.
No, that doesn't work out because the names just don't match with these guys. That can't be it.
Well, I don't know how much stuff from the phone game that you're aware of, but Marluxia has already shown up in it.
Oh, really?
He is in it. We've seen his somebody. I can't remember what his name is, but he's looking for someone who I don't know if they kidnapped or murdered his sister, but he is on a revenge quest right now in the phone game. So he exists back then somehow. So I think we're eventually going to find out some weird, either sending your heart forward or some sort of time travel chicanery that happened to those 4 in particular. I'm guessing. I'm curious about him too. I think that's what that's leading to.
Like, I want to see more, because I like what they did with them this time around, and I like how you had that little scene with Larxene saying how, like, she did it for him and whatnot, and that's why she always went with it. Like, okay, so that's why she's always teaming up with Marluxia. That works. Or Demyx complaining about getting benched and being so under the radar that he's able to just do whatever he wants unnoticed.
It's like, I can kind of just do what I want.
Yeah, that's cool with me.
Also, I really liked the bait and switch with Vexen in particular, because they had me going where I was like, this irredeemable piece of garbage, what a monster. I can't wait for the fight where I get to kick his dumb ass again. It's going to be so... Oh, he's actually been helping us this whole time, and he's a real good guy, and he's sorry for everything he did. Whoops.
Whoops, yeah, exactly. That's how I felt, too, because I'm like... Oh man, he betrayed us again, went through there. It's like, oh, that's rough. And then he saved Ansem the Wise, and I'm like, okay, this has to be a ploy.
Yeah.
It took me
scumbag
forever
is definitely
to
just
him.
looking for some way in.
Like, he's up to something. It took me forever to trust him. And then, of course, the whole thing with Sai and him all being there, the interaction between him and Axel, that was really fun.
Yeah, that was real good. It felt a little weird when we've known these characters for like 3 or 4 games now, and then out of nowhere they start going like, I thought we did this for her, Isa. It's like, what are you talking about? You never mentioned this before. But at the same time, I totally understand when you're making a narrative. Sometimes you need to give characters a reason to be there when they didn't have one before.
Yeah.
And this fills in a lot of gaps that have always existed. And I just always thought, like, we don't really need to have them filled in, it'll be fine. But now that we are, I'm really excited to see what other stuff we can learn about these characters. So it's one of those, you could have just left these guys as, we're 2 friends and we sort of grew apart as we got older. But giving us no, we had this mission and Axel ended up making new friends and forgot about it is perfectly fine.
Or even just the fact that, why were these 2 random kids caught up as nobodies when you look at Birth by Sleep? Is how do these 2 get involved? And you realize, oh, it's because of her wanting to rescue her, so they became apprentices. And then just so happened, like, crap, we did joined this at the wrong time.
We became apprentices, and it turns out there's some crazy plot to throw the world into chaos or something going on. Oops.
Oh, that's not good. Yeah, it's like, it was actually throwing me off because I was expecting a neat and tidy bow on all of this, and the fact that they kept talking about trying to find the box, and then the box wouldn't get brought up for how long? Or they were talking about this girl. I'm like, okay, what's that all about? Or this other mystery involving the organization members 9 through 12. I'm like, okay, what's up with that? It's like, okay, I guess they really are just going to segue into this.
Yeah, and there's just so many other, like, they left themselves so many open doors to work with. I know one of my friends was initially kind of disappointed because he was hoping there would be a lot of resolution for the Master of Masters stuff, but the more I look at it, the more I'm like, no, this was clearly setting up for a bigger narrative, and this was just here to close out the Xehanort storyline, which is just a small piece of this bigger thing that we're learning, which I am a big sucker for, so I am all in for and completely all right with.
I mean, we're both into the shonen trope, so yeah, give it to me.
Also, I've just always been a big fan of escalation when it's like, oh, you thought this story was about this? Actually, that's just a tiny piece of what the whole meaning is supposed to, like, that's always the stuff that gets me going, and Kingdom Hearts has been doing it better than most, and this game is a tour de force in giving you a bunch of things to think about between a new game and now.
Oh yeah, I mean, it's kind of like it's a big reason I liked One Piece so much is because they presented these guys as being certain characters as being so powerful, and you don't get to them for a while, but then you meet other characters that are even more, like, not more powerful than those guys, but still really powerful, so it puts into perspective what those guys are like, so it's like, holy
if
crap.
I was so scared of this guy, then what does that make this?
Yeah, holy crap, what am I in for? And, that has a lot of potential to it. But let's talk about those resolutions we got. And the thing is, we got the best resolution right away. And I think that might have made the others seem not quite as satisfying in the grand scheme of things because they were just so simple. But my God, Aqua.
Man, was really, really good. Like, the Birth by Sleep trio have always fascinated me since that game came out, and Aqua has always been the one that you're like the most like, I really hope things work out for her. I don't want her to be trapped in darkness forever. That's sad. And having her get to show up and us fighting the anti-Aqua or whatever the boss fight's called, and it just being like her being all about, you left me here. Like, I've been waiting, and I gave up. I lost hope from waiting for so long for someone to be here. Is this really sad? Like, oh man, this is kind of on us, fellas. We should have done something.
Yeah, especially because she was kind of losing her mind as soon as the first game. As we saw with Fragmentary Passage, just like seeing what she was dealing with all these years. And it's heart-wrenching to see that. And I like how she, like, even though she lost her Keyblade, she's still badass because she's fighting, I forget who kidnapped Ansem the Wise, but just fighting that organization member and kind of holding her own, like, damn, Aqua, nice. Like, I'm like rooting for her.
I think it was Ansem, and he even says something like, you don't even have your Keyblade. And she just comes in with a flying kick. Don't need it! Like, that's awesome.
I'm totally there for it. And yeah, just a really great moment of, setting up Sora and Riku and Mickey in trouble, Sora sensing something wrong, coming in, getting the block, and then you finally have this fight. And I'm basically fighting her this entire battle, using these crazy moves that Sora has, and just like, oh God, please come back, Aqua, come back. Like, it was such a emotional moment.
Well, yeah, and then talk about emotional moments when they wake up on, Destiny Island, and she's like, oh, when did this place fall to darkness? And you're like, it didn't! You're out!
And she just starts crying, and it's like, oh my God, yes, it's so perfectly done. I loved it. It was just, the boss fight was fun, the setup for it, the payoff, just every element was just executed perfectly for Aqua.
I feel like the dev team for Kingdom Hearts could just write entire volumes on how to properly do catharsis in a video game, because it's just every time a situation like that came up, if you want to be reductive about it, it is definitely not the most let's say nuanced narrative or concept of just like this good person falls into darkness and we have to fight to get her out, and it's like this very emotional thing, and it's not exactly the most creative or newest narrative, but daggone, do they do it well and know how to make it feel really emotionally fulfilling when it happens.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it is. It was really cool to see, and I love that little moment where you have that, and then you have the interaction with Aqua and realize, okay, let's go save Ven. Like, it really does just sort of domino effect everything. Like, it's amazing how quick it happens. Where, all right, we got Aqua, let's go get Ven, and there we go. When we have that whole sequence at Hollow Bastion, and I was kind of hoping we'd have a little bit of like exploring Hollow Bastion again, but to immediately change it back to the Land of Departure, find Ven, get that fun boss fight as Aqua fighting off Vanitas. Wish he still didn't need saved by Sora, but that's fine.
Yeah, that was sort of unfortunate, but also I did like I was kind of bummed because that part happens and she stands up. She's like, I'm gonna fight him alone. And then you're like, oh, but I kind of wanted to see Sora versus Vanitas as a cool fight that we might never really get a chance to see again. I was curious how this. All right, Aqua, you're right. You should do this.
Yeah, and then finally get Ven to wake up, and it's a good moment, but it didn't get me. Like at that point, you sort of saw the tropes coming in, and you were prepared for it.
Yeah, at that point, we basically knew the track we were on, and it was going to be like, all right, here comes the let's get the band back together arc, and but it still works. Like, it was still really good, and just Ven waking up and jumping in to save her is still a really satisfying and cool moment, and it being Vanitas is really good that he's the guy who shows up. Just narratively for him, for Ventus, for Aqua, it works in so many directions that it's a really good wrap up for that moment.
And then Ven seeing Sora and being like, "What the hell?
Wait a minute,
this is
You're the guy."
Yeah, I like those moments where they play off the appearances of these characters and be, especially for Ven. He's like, "What is with me all of a sudden?"
Ven's got a lot of things to take in.
That's for sure.
And I think right after that, or not super long after that anyway, is when basically we kind of get the group back together, and Aqua drops the bomb on Kairi, being like, "Oh, I remember you. You were in Radiant Garden." And she's like, "I've been there? Really?" My memory is fuzzy from back then. Maybe you could tell me more about who I am, because this is a plot point we sort of pushed to the background, but I still don't know anything about who I am.
Exactly. Or, oh yeah, that was the whole thing, and hey, it was all because of you that I got the Keyblade, can wield the Keyblade. And that's, of course, when we get the wonderful Axel line. It's just like, what is going on? How do all of us know each other?
Yeah, poor Axel, who, you know what? To be fair, he kind of brought some of this on himself because he hung out all that time with Roxas, never bothered to mention, I met a Keyblade wielder who looked just like you, and we got along great.
Yeah. One of the times I did tear up was when that first scene between Axel and Kairi, when he's looking at Kairi and remembering Shion. Oh,
man, yeah. The stuff with Shion is so good, and it's real unfortunate because I bet, other than possibly Coded, 358/2 is probably the game the least people in Kingdom Hearts fandom have played, and I think the story with Shion is so tragic and good, and I'm so glad that she gets to be part of this, because with the way it's written, it is expertly crafted to be able to have never happened, and be this thing where, yeah, the end of that game's resolution is everybody is going to forget about me because I shouldn't exist, says Shion. And like the storyline to this game could have very easily progressed entirely without her and let that be this wholly self-contained story. But I'm really glad we get to get her out of that tragic situation. Exactly. Of, well, you don't deserve to exist, so you don't.
Yeah, you got that whole setup. As soon as you heard about a 14th member of the organization, it was like, well, that shouldn't be, so how are they going to resolve this one? And you see it, it's like, oh man, that really sucks because I like that character, but this is perfect spin-off material as far as that's concerned.
Yeah, and it's just good tragedy.
Yeah.
Like, it's a really well-written tragic story for this character. He's like, I don't know who I am, I know nothing, and as soon as I get to learn about who I am, the thing I learn about is I shouldn't exist. It's like, God, that sucks.
Yeah, it really does. There's a lot of tragic stories in Kingdom Hearts.
It really is.
But yeah, there was some really good moments leading up to that. And of course, we finally get to the Keyblade Graveyard, where we get the Battle of the Thousand Heartless Redux, which I'm sorry, that was so much better because
Oh my god.
I liked how it was like a lot of variety of enemies, especially because we had the Heartless, the Unversed, and the Nobodies there all fighting at once.
Yeah.
We got the return of the crazy train blowing the crap out of everything. I'm like, oh man, this is satisfying.
Yeah, that was definitely one of the best moments in this whole game for sure. Like that got me super excited there, and just when it starts happening, where it's just like a tornado of just evil monsters start showing up everywhere, and I think the organization's like, oh yeah, we're gonna clash, but before that, we are gonna wear you down. Just like, oh man, you are jerks, but yeah, you have this power, and you should definitely use it if you want to fight us.
Mm-hmm. I mean, it must have worked too, because Terra Xehanort shows up and just kicks the crap out of everybody.
Donald even gets a sick Zeta flare off, and it's still not enough.
I know. I'm like, oh god, we're doing the goofy moment with Donald this time around. Holy crap. And then everybody dies.
Yeah, I was gonna say that when Donald did his thing, I was like, wow, so we really are just mirroring that like 1,000 Heartless fight from Hollow Bastion. Okay, and then the rest go. Well, you know what? You upped the antes again. Never mind.
Yeah, exactly. Just to see Sora just so despondent, and Riku like taking that stand is like, yeah, you don't believe that, and then goes to fight, and then he gets wiped out, Sora gets wiped out, and I'm like, what is happening? Because I kind of like, I remember the scene of him screaming, but I did not like expect that this was the reason for it. From the trailers,
no, it was way more intense than I was ready for.
Mm-hmm. And then we get the journey to the final world, which I loved as a concept.
I loved it conceptually. I will admit, though, I did kind of give a, oh, come on, when the words "the final world" showed up. Because it's like, I get it, this is like, I'm in in-game stuff, but just having the words "the final world" show up on my screen was like, I get it, I see what you're saying.
It's like, okay, we're in
Purgatory?
That's it. So this is Purgatory, which turns out to be extremely beautiful, and all these other lost souls that you talk to. You actually talk to Naminé.
Yeah.
Chirithy shows up, which I kind of blanked on Chirithy's whole thing from the mobile game.
Well, we kind of get some resolution on that later in the game. But Chirithy is actually, weirdly enough, waiting for Ventus. Is the friend it mentions that's like, I'm pretty sure he's forgotten me. Because apparently that's Ventus's Chirithy. I have only slightly dabbled in the phone game lore since this game came out, so this is a lot of me going back and figuring out what things were.
Yeah, I might need to find something on YouTube that kind of explains it, because I just couldn't. I love Kingdom Hearts. I cannot get into phone games.
Me neither.
It's just it's too hard. So I'll need to see exactly what they say. But I hear even like there's a few like story differences between back cover and the actual phone game. So
I know it expands on it and stuff. Which also, a quick aside, dumb thing I never picked up. So the title back cover is really good for that. It being the beginning of a story on, essentially on the jacket cover of a book, the part you'd read before the whole story goes off. I never pieced that together.
Oh, really?
As it's like meaning for its title.
As soon as that finished off, I'm like, oh, I get it now. I was like, that was cool. But yeah, Sora goes through a little bit of an existential crisis.
He's got to find himself, which, great creative choice here. You can still use your phone in the final world.
Oh,
so
really?
I took a lot of pictures of ethereal Sora taking selfies with himself.
I didn't even think they'd do that.
Falling off of weird geometry, and made a lot of really surreal photos from it.
Oh man, I wish I had done that now, because I didn't even think about it.
Well, you can go back. There's always a portal.
Oh, that's true. That is true. I only ever saw the chest in the portal. I didn't think you could actually do that whole trippy thing again.
Oh, actually, I don't know if you can do that now that I think about it. I never went that deep in, so maybe I'm wrong.
Yeah,
but still,
that's all right.
You can still take pictures in there.
Yeah, exactly. That's something to know for other people, even though this is spoiling the hell out of everything.
When you go back on your critical playthrough when Kingdom Hearts 3 Final Mix comes out.
There you go.
Now you know.
There better be Final Mix DLC, just off topic.
Oh my gosh, yeah, definitely. I really don't want to buy another disc.
Yeah. I mean, it makes sense to be DLC, and I'll pay it. Here, $25 for a season pass.
Yeah,
whatever.
Absolutely.
But yeah, that was a fun moment. I really liked what they were doing there, and then it got really weird again for me. I kind of lost track because we were repeating events with Terra Xehanort, and I was like, wait, did he just put his mind back? How is this all working? I'm not quite sure. And eventually I was like, whatever, just don't care. And just...
Yeah, it's one of those things where if you asked me to explain in detail exactly how they got back to when they got back, I couldn't tell you. But I'm going to go with, you know what? There was light and heart magic, and that put him back where he needed to be.
Exactly. And then I did have, like, even though I didn't play the phone game much, that battle with the Heartless Tornado was so good. And seeing the original character from that game show up, and then Sora just riding Keyblades, chucking him at this Heartless Vortex, and fighting this core, and it's so ridiculous. And to see the names pop up on the side,
that was so good. Like it's that felt like Nier Automata levels of like meta narrative going into it, of just like not only is Sora fighting this, he is fighting, if you were someone who played the phone game, it's like this emotional connecting moment of like, he is using your help in universe to stop this threat now. Supposedly hundreds, if not thousands of years after the fact in the game's universe, like you are helping this much time later is such a cool, like, man, just moment for a game.
Yeah.
That's real exciting.
Even not playing the game, I understood what I was going for, and I was just like, you know what? This is awesome. This is a great payoff for a frickin' cell phone game. It's
one of those moments that makes me really wish I loved the phone game, because it would be so exciting.
So that was cool, and then we get into the actual fights with each of the organization members.
We get one of the coolest cutscenes, in my opinion, where basically just kind of stormtrooper style, we've got the whole organization marching in this cool, like, uneven V shape, and it's just really just the most fan servicey edgelord, just like, and here comes all of our bad boys dressed in black, ready to fight, and just like, and gets the little shonen punk villain in me just so excited.
I mean, the voice actor they got to voice Xehanort, Master Xehanort, was fine. God, do I miss Leonard Nimoy.
I do really miss Leonard Nimoy, but I believe, I want to get this correct before I misname who it is. I think
I didn't look up who actually did the voice of Master Xehanort. I mean, he did a fine job, but I'm so used to just that rough edge that Leonard Nimoy gave Master Xehanort that just made him sound so freaking evil.
Okay, yeah, it's Rutger Hauer does his voice in Kingdom Hearts 3, and he does a fine job, but man, after getting so used to Nimoy's interpretation of the character, made it really tough to switch in his final climactic chapter. But obviously, not exactly much can be done there, and does a great job given the circumstances.
Exactly, and that's how I felt. It's like, it's a bummer, but there's nothing they could have done. It was just always going to be that way. And I liked the fights. I was actually surprised. You played on Proud Mode, but I actually found the fights pretty easy. I was shocked at it.
Oh yeah, it's definitely not that the fights were difficult. It's just I feel like it was kind of unfortunate that they are all in one place at one time, because it makes it feel like you kind of go from fight to fight without much like actual time to reflect on the things that happen in them. But I guess that's sort of what the ending is for, is kind of concluding everybody all at once so you can think about all of it afterwards.
Yeah. The best one by far to me was the fights with Axel and Kairi.
Okay, good. I didn't want to say anything before you answered, because I was like, if it's not the one with Shion and Saix, he's crazy.
Yeah, I know. It totally is. To get that sort of like emotional moment between Axel and Saix, have the return of Roxas, have Shion being one of the members, and
also just that speech that Xemnas gives to Axel, like when he shows up, and how he's like, I used to employ you to root out traitors, and here you are betraying the whole family. What's wrong with you? Like, and you know what? You're not even like worth the effort. Like, just kind of like knocks him out like he's no problem. And it's this really like, oh, we did not realize how powerful our enemies were going to be.
We were woefully unprepared for this. It's like playing it being a Keyblade wielder, aren't we? It's like, oof. So much for that training, because, yeah, unfortunately, Axel and Kairi really don't get to do much.
they sideline them so hardcore in this game, and like and narratively I understand why, but it is really disappointing. Like I was looking forward to seeing both of them do something cool with Keyblades, since that's the things we haven't seen either of them do. But I understand for narrative purposes and for emotional through line why they would need to kind of play the victims in these parts. But that said, the moment of Shion kind of taking your side and Roxas showing up and Shion just looking at Axel saying, Roxas will fight for you and I'll fight for Kairi. We can get through this. It was like such a good moment.
Yeah, I was like, oh yes. Like that was a fist pumping moment, especially seeing Roxas show up with the dual Keyblades, especially because Oathkeeper and Oblivion are not available in this game, which is weird.
Yeah. Can't even get them.
No.
It's because Roxas has them. He's holding them.
Yeah, exactly. So, you know, that was just a cool payoff moment. And then the three of them finally hugging it out at the end, finally reunited. It's like, okay, awesome. I feel good about this. That
was a really good like tie-up for that. And just them just crying was so... just tore me up inside.
It's like, I get it.
I do real quick want to just, whenever I can, as much as I love gushing about this game.
Oh yeah.
To throw a quick like, come on, with Saïx with his like kind of like death speech as he's fading away. I kind of got to admit I take a little bit of umbrage with him, because before the fight everyone kind of has like a little moment where they talk to who their obvious big opponent is going to be on the other side, and when Axel talks to Saïx, he basically goes, yeah, Saïx basically goes, when I reawoken as a nobody, I found a new purpose and started serving Xehanort. But then, after the fight, all Saïx does is go, but then you made new friends, Axel, and you forgot all about our mission to save that girl, and that filled me with rage. Like, you already said you kind of gave up on this earlier. Like, you can't be mad at Axel for that. But maybe I just misunderstood, but it seemed like... It's Saïx's logic on being like and I was jealous because you made new friends. Like,
the jealousy drove my rage.
Yeah, and and it just seemed like you seemed kind of like a dick before all that happened. So what are you talking about?
Yeah.
But again, it's one of those things where I feel like there is a lot of story that was being injected into these characters to make them fit with the new bigger plot.
Yeah, that's absolutely the case.
Yeah, and it's totally fine. I am not using that as a means to bash it, but just that there could have been maybe handled a little bit better.
Yeah, well, I mean, the thing is, Kingdom Hearts is not high art when it comes to storytelling.
How dare you, sir?
It is pure bubblegum fun, and I am there for it. I want my fluff.
Oh, it is the popcorn movie of anime, JRPG, shonen cliches all rolled into one.
Yeah, and you know, of course, we get Terra back as well, which is cool. I don't know, that one didn't hit as hard for me.
Was this the one where they reveal that the Heartless on Ansem's back
was
Terra?
Yeah, was Terra. That was a cool reveal.
That was an incredible reveal that I feel totally stupid that I never once even considered that. Like, he's always had this Heartless clinging to his back. And he's like, nah, it's just this cool dark entity he found. No, that's the dude he's possessing. That's his darkness.
Oh, that actually reminds me. Really, it wasn't actually, after they come back to life, it wasn't Sora that saved everybody. It was the lingering will showing up out of nowhere.
Yeah.
It's like, why weren't you here the first time?
Yeah, where were you?
So that was cool, seeing the lingering will show up and taking care of things.
Giving it a story reason to show up, since you fight it at Hollow Bastion, but the lingering will logically should have stayed at the Keyblade Graveyard. So it being there was perfect.
Oh yeah. But yeah, that reveal was cool. Him taking off the ripping off the bandage that was across his mouth the entire time. I was like, there's no way Nomura planned this, but dang, does that work?
But I love it. I'll accept it.
Yep.
That means at some point when Terra used the power of darkness and looked like Ansem and had that weird Heartless thing on his back, that means at some point Terra and Riku were working together to fight Xemnas.
That is true. Oh my gosh, that is true. Oh my god, these get so trippy and weird.
There's layers, man.
So many layers. But yeah, seeing those three finally get back together, that was cool.
It was really nice to see those the Birth by Sleep trio finally get to have a second to be like, hey man, we're all cool.
Yeah, we're good. We're good. Heck, I was surprised they gave Replica Riku a payoff.
Yeah! Now talk about a left field guy to show up, just period. I love that it's not only, like, through most of the game, they all suspect it is actual Riku when he was possessed. So they're all like, oh, that must be who it is. Whatever. Like we'll stop him just like any other Ansem we would stop, or Xehanort. But then the reveal that no, I'm the replica Riku, and I am just hurting.
Yeah.
Because again, everybody has to have tragedy to be a Kingdom Hearts character.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And just to have that back, and then of course, I forget where it was, but yeah, the fact that that really heart-wrenching point is like, okay, there's my body. I'm gonna die, so you can have that body for Naminé. And it's just there the entire time.
Just see that limp body on the ground.
Yeah, seeing replicas without the hearts, little disturbing.
Yeah, no, that's real unnerving looking stuff. Can't wait to have to fight an army of those or something in Kingdom Hearts 4 or Kingdom Hearts : long something.
Yeah, exactly. Like there's that's a little interesting. Apparently they become close to human. I wonder if that's in all aspects, or I don't know if we should get into those questions or not.
I mean, look, eventually these characters who are inhabiting the bodies of replicas, eventually Nomura is going to have to pair them off with someone of the other gender, and we're going to have to see how this whole reproduction thing works with replicas.
Or even just aging. Like, does Xion and Roxas age?
I hadn't even considered that.
Yeah. Because, Axel is real. He'll get old, and Xion and Roxas look the same. You want to talk about tragedy.
Come on, Axel. We're going to go climb to the top of that clock tower again. And Axel's like a 70-year-old man. I just can't do it anymore, you guys.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, the line where he's like, I should have brought ice cream. So good. Alright, I think that covers it for part 2 of our Kingdom Hearts 3 discussion, but there's still plenty more to talk about as we cover the rest of the game. So thank you for watching, and if you liked this video, be sure to like us on Facebook and Twitter at GameXplain. Plus, make sure to check out more from Grant at TFS Gaming. And of course, subscribe to GameXplain for more on Kingdom Hearts and other things gaming as well. Until next time, bye.